In a sun-kissed lake, nestled deep in the heart of Florida, lived a small turtle named Toby. Now, Toby wasn't the biggest turtle, nor was he the fastest. But what Toby had was a dream that shimmered just as brightly as the water he swam in. In the very middle of the lake stood a tall, majestic rock, its peak reaching towards the blue sky like a silent stone giant. While other turtles were content sunbathing on the warm sand or nibbling on tasty water plants, Toby would spend hours just staring at that rock. He dreamed of climbing it, of standing on its very top and seeing the world from a whole new perspective. It was more than just a rock to him. It was a challenge, a symbol of what he could achieve. His heart would flutter with excitement just thinking about it. One day, he'd whisper to himself, one day that'll be me up there. He decided that dreaming wasn't enough. It was time for action. With a deep breath and a determined look in his eyes, Toby swam towards the rock. The first few feet were easy enough, with little ledges and cracks for his claws to grip. But as he climbed higher, the rock became steeper and smoother. His little legs trembled with effort. He pushed, he pulled, he strained with all his might, but then, slip, he tumbled back down into the cool water with a splash. A few fish giggled as they swam by. A croaking frog on a lily pad croaked, "What are you doing, little guy? Turtles can't climb rocks like that." Toby's heart sank a little, but as he floated there, looking up at the towering peak, his resolve hardened. "I'll be back," he promised the rock and himself, and he was. Day after day, Toby returned. Every morning, as the sun began to warm the lake, he would start his climb. And every day, he would slip and fall. Sometimes he'd make it a little higher than the day before, sometimes he wouldn't even get as far. The other animals started to notice his daily routine. The squirrels in the nearby oak trees would chatter, "There goes Toby again, trying the impossible." The graceful herons would watch him for a moment before shaking their heads and flying off. The older, wiser turtles would advise him, "Toby, my boy, some things just aren't meant to be. Be happy with who you are, a swimmer, not a climber." Their words stung more than the scrapes on his shell, but Toby refused to listen. He knew in his heart that giving up was not an option. He didn't just keep trying blindly. He started to learn from his failures. He paid attention to where his foot would slip. He'd noticed tiny, almost invisible cracks in the rock face that could offer a better grip. He learned to shift his weight, using his tail for balance like a third leg. He'd watched the lizards skittering up tree trunks, studying how they moved with such effortless grace. His daily attempts became his training ground. He was no longer just trying to climb. He was practicing. His muscles grew stronger, his focus sharper. The laughter from the other animals started to fade, replaced by a grudging respect. They saw his unwavering dedication, even if they didn't understand it. Toby was no longer just the little turtle who kept failing. He was Toby the turtle who never, ever gave up. Weeks turned into months. The seasons began to shift. One morning, Toby woke up to a different kind of day. A strong, persistent wind was blowing across the lake, creating small, choppy waves. The sky was a mix of gray clouds and bright sun. Many other animals were huddled in their homes, waiting for the wind to die down. But something about this wind felt different to Toby. It felt like a challenge, a final test. He looked at the rock. It seemed taller, more intimidating than ever in the dramatic light. But Toby didn't feel fear. He felt a surge of energy, a powerful determination that pulsed through his entire body. He knew this was the day. He wasn't just hoping to climb the rock. He was going to conquer it. He swam to the base, the wind pushing against his shell. He took his first step onto the rock, his claws digging in firmly. He remembered every lesson, every fall, every piece of advice he had given himself. He moved slowly, deliberately. Each movement was precise, calculated. He found the tiny cracks he had memorized. He used the wind, letting it press him against the rock face, giving him extra stability. Inch by inch, foot by foot, he ascended. He didn't look down. He didn't look at the other animals who had now gathered at the shore, watching in silent disbelief. His eyes were fixed on the peak. His world narrowed to just him and the rock. His arms and legs ached, his shell felt heavy, but his spirit was lighter than air. He was so close. Then, with one final triumphant push, he pulled himself over the edge. He stood there, on the very top of the rock. He had done it. He was breathing heavily, his heart pounding in his chest, but he had never felt more alive. The world spread out before him like a beautiful map. He could see the entire lake, the swaying trees, the distant fields. The wind that had challenged him now felt like a gentle, congratulatory pat on his shell. It whistled softly, as if whispering, "You did it." A feeling of pure, unadulterated joy washed over him, a joy born from relentless effort, an unshakable belief. He had turned his impossible dream into his reality. Down below, a sound erupted. It started with a single chirp, then a croak, then a cheer that echoed across the entire lake. Every animal, from the smallest fish to the tallest heron, was cheering for him. They weren't laughing anymore, they were celebrating. The wise old turtles looked at each other, a newfound respect in their eyes. The squirrels chattered excitedly, not in mockery, but in awe. They had witnessed something truly special. They had watched a small, slow turtle achieve something incredible, not through speed or natural talent, but through sheer, stubborn persistence. Toby looked down at them, a proud and happy smile on his face. As he carefully made his way back down, he was greeted as a hero. The animals gathered around, eager to hear his story. The frog who had once laughed at him now asked, "How did you do it, Toby?" "We all thought it was impossible." Toby looked at all the expectant faces and said, "It wasn't easy. I fell more times than I can count. But every time I fell, I learned something new. I just ... Didn't let myself give up." His simple words carried a powerful message. The animals of the lake learned a valuable lesson that day. They learned that the size of your dream is more important than the size of your body. And they learned that determination and a belief in yourself can be far more powerful than speed or strength. From that day on, the tall rock in the middle of the lake was no longer just a rock. It became known as Toby's Peak, a reminder to everyone who saw it. It stood as a monument to the idea that no challenge is too great if your will is strong enough. And Toby, the small turtle with the big dream, became a legend. He showed everyone that the journey to success is often filled with slips and falls. But the secret is to just keep getting back up, to keep climbing, and to never, ever give up on yourself. Because sometimes the slowest and steadiest climb leads to the most spectacular view. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more motivational stories, and share this video with someone who needs a little reminder to keep going. We'll see you in the next one.